Alright guys, what's going on? Welcome to episode 3 of the 6-week Adonis Physique. Alright, so what we're talking about in this video are the 3 key variables that shape your workout split. Now, the 3 key variables that shape your workouts over the weeks and over months are training frequency, training volume, and training intensity. Right? Now, training frequency is essentially how many days a week are you lifting in the gym. Now for myself, that's 3 days a week lifting heavy in the gym to promote strength gains and muscle maintenance, if not growth. Right now I'm purely on a muscle maintenance phase just because I'm cutting down body fat, and the goal at this level of my lifting career, where I've been lifting properly for well over 2 years, I can't expect to gain muscle while I'm cutting, so I'm just maintaining muscle. Now, 3 days a week is ideal. It's optimal for natural lifters to maintain muscle, if not grow muscle. If I were on a surplus right now, which some of you probably are, it's November, it's December, it's the winter months where a lot of people are lean bulking. So if you're on a lean bulk, yes, 3 days per week in the gym will also cut it, given that what we'll touch on later, training intensity and volume, is there. Now, you can play with these 3 variables, training volume, intensity, and frequency, to really obtain the best results, and especially if you know how to sculpt your body and you know the minimum amount of the minimum amount of training, volume, frequency, intensity necessary to build a certain look, build a certain type of muscle fiber. Once you really get into it and you really begin to understand it, you'll start unlocking these little nuances and details that would put together with a goal in mind and get you some really awesome results. So that first variable, training frequency, how often are you in the gym? For myself, that's 3 days per week. For you, I'm doing a push-pull leg split, but you might enjoy something a little bit differently, right? You might enjoy an upper lower split. Some people do that and it works great for them, good for you. Now, I'm more of the push-pull legs split type of guy because I really value recovery much more than the extra volume that I would accumulate working out more than 3 times per week. And the reason being, I'm in this bodybuilding, body sculpting, strength training game as a marathon for the long term. I don't want to hit an amazing PR this year and then just be injured and out of commission next year, right? I'd rather take things slow, methodical, right? Like the tortoise versus the hare, right? Who always wins? It's the tortoise. Why? Because he's slow, he's methodical, he's smart about things. Got sort of sidetracked here, but the point is, I only train 3 days per week, and that's what I choose for my training frequency, because as a natural lifter with limited resources in terms of what your body can do in terms of things like muscle protein synthesis, how much muscle protein can your body synthesize? Well, as a natural, there's a limit to that, right? If you're on juice, if you're on testosterone, steroids, whatnot, then the limit to that is raised a lot. But as a natural lifter, you need to begin to prioritize recovery over lifting, right? So if you look at my split, I lift 3 days per week. I'm resting 4 days out of the week, right? Some of those days are active recovery, but I'm resting more than I'm actually lifting in terms of days in the week. That just really goes to show that I value recovery, because recovery is where you grow. When you're recovering, when you're resting is when you're actually building the muscle. Because when you're in the gym, you're tearing yourself down. You need to give yourself the proper sleep, proper nutrition, water intake, balance your stress levels, right? Do all these things to really dial in and get in the best shape of your life from a variety of angles. Now, training frequency, I like to keep at 3 days per week because of this framework of recovery that I come from, and that has brought me great strength gains and great physique and aesthetic gains along my journey. Now, that might not work for you, but that's what I recommend to myself, and that's what I use myself and recommend to my clients, and I've seen work really well for the professionals, big fitness YouTuber names like Greg O'Gallagher, I really love his work. Now, because my training frequency is at 3 days per week in the gym, the other two variables, volume and intensity, you can play with a bit still. So for volume, I like to only do truly about 12 sets per workout, 3 times a week. It's not a lot. But when I explain the third variable of intensity, you'll understand why I keep frequency pretty moderate and volume, you could argue, pretty moderate to low, actual low volume routines. Now again, if I were to be lean bulking, the volume would likely be a bit more, not that much more. So when you're cutting, what I recommend is around 12 sets per workout, 3 times a week. But if you're lean bulking, I'd rather suggest something along the lines of like 18 sets or more per workout. Again, 3 times per week. If you really dial in this framework of 3 times per week and this framework of recovery, really optimizing recovery, which is the name of the game as a natural lifter, then your volume and your intensity can sort of be played with. Now, for volume, like I said, 12 sets is enough on a cutting protocol per workout. 18 plus sets would be the move if I were to be lean bulking, or if you're lean bulking, that's what I suggest to you. Now, with this said, only training 3 days per week, only about 12 sets per workout in these 3 day per week workout sessions. And intensity, my friend, now that's the ticket. That's what I jack up pretty high. So because I'm recovering really well by only going to the gym 3 times a week, and because I'm not doing a shitload of volume, like 5 sets per movement, 5 movements, 25 sets, burning myself out, because I'm being smart with those previous 2 variables, I can really ramp up intensity. And as a natural lifter, I'll preface so many statements with that throughout the lifetime of this channel. You've heard it before, you're hearing it now, you'll hear it again. As a natural lifter, intensity is the name of the game. Lifting big numbers relative to yourself, relative to your body weight, that's gonna be the ticket. That's what's gonna build that dense muscle, that strength, that later can be used when you're lean bulking, that strength to get in a shit ton of quality volume with, heavy weight. And that's gonna make you look insane in the long term. So again, this is a long-term game. It's a marathon, think about it like that. You don't wanna get injured, you don't wanna burn yourself out, you don't wanna burn out your nervous system or your mind or your body in any way, right? If you want to succeed and be sustainable in your fitness journey and building your best body ever, year round, right? Staying in great shape year round, not just for a slight peak, a slight period of time and then falling off the wagon and gaining it all back and losing your progress. So the name of the game here is frequency. 3 times per week in the gym. That's it. Whether you're cutting, whether you're lean bulking, that's what I recommend to you. That's what I do. That's what I found to be successful. As for training volume, if you're lean bulking, do 18 sets or more per workout. 3 compounds, 3 sets of each, 3 hypertrophy movements, 3 sets of each. That's 18. You can add a little more if you do rest pause work at the end, or sort of more endurance, high rep work. Now, if you're cutting, 12 sets will cut it. Pun intended. 2 compound movements per workout, 3 sets of each, 2 hypertrophy movements per workout, 3 sets of each. Sounds good, right? And as for training intensity, that's where the kicker is. As a natural lifter, that's where you're gonna have to try really freaking hard, because only going to the gym 3 times a week, that's easy. That's the easy part. Only doing 12 sets per workout, that's the easy part. But it's not all easy, and that's just the truth. It's enjoyable, it's awesome, but the difficulty, the real challenge, when you're really going to fucking war, is with the intensity. Because even though I'm only doing 2 compounds, on any given workout day, even though I'm only doing 2 compound movements, let's say it's a push day, a Monday, and I'm doing my incline bench and my flat bench. On that first set, after a couple warm-up sets, on that first top set, of the first movement, that incline bench, you're giving it all you have. If you've never been in a sport before or trained this way, you've probably never felt intensity like this before in your life, but you're giving it your all, you're pushing to your limits, you're going for that PR, right? That personal record, that personal best, that number that you've never hit before. You're hitting it every single workout. That's the goal. So when you're pushing yourself like that, it becomes more fun, it becomes more enjoyable to people like myself. Maybe you're like me. Comment below if you get that rush from progress. You see that number go up, right? You hit more weight, or alternatively, you see the number go down. You see the scale go down. You weigh less. You're lifting stronger numbers. If you divide, what you're lifting by your body weight, that number's skyrocketing. What I was talking about earlier, that strength to weight ratio, that relative strength factor. What is that? Because it's way more impressive if you're, tell me if you agree with this or not, but it's way more impressive when I see a guy in the gym that weighs 150, 160 pounds, pushing 225 on flat bench. I think that's fucking awesome, because that guy's pushing 1.5 times his body weight. Now, if someone were, 200 pounds, I'm pushing same weight, or 235, a little more, it's not as impressive, is it? Because they're closer to pushing their body weight, which is cool if you're a beginner, but you don't need to get massive to push these amounts of weight. And it's actually cooler, my opinion, let me know if you agree in the comments, when a smaller guy is sort of the underdog. You don't expect it to come from him, but he's actually strong as fuck. I tend to be in that category. Sometimes people see me and they're like, oh, this guy's not even that big. They see me pushing weight and they're like, this guy's a beast, what is he doing? Right, not saying I'm the strongest guy out there, but relative to my body weight, I would say I'm pretty moderate to advanced. I'm getting there. So what are we saying here? We're saying that when it comes down to intensity, that's where the real difficulty, that's where the real challenge will come from in your training. Like I said, incredibly intense on the top set of my compounds for every workout. Incredibly intense in the 4 to 6 rep range for that first set. I'll give you an example. I'm still around 147, 148 pounds, and I've been hitting like 180, 175, 180 on incline bench, which is a lot. So those 3 variables are what you can play around with when you're designing your workout splits, when you're designing, what exercises you're gonna do, your training blueprint for the next, whatever it be, 6, 8, 12 weeks. That's what you can do. Use those variables of training volume, use those variables of training frequency. How often are you in the gym? Training volume, how many sets are you doing per workout, per body part, per muscle fiber type, as well as, your training intensity. How intense are you lifting? And I will throw a slight caveat out there and say that, not every single movement I do is intense. You have to take this with a grain of salt. For example, the first half of every workout I do is incredibly intense in terms of, going for that heavy PR, that top set, going really, really heavy and progressing every week. But when it comes down to, the hypertrophy work, heavy workout, it's not incredibly heavy, but I still push myself. Right? Still pushing to failure, still pushing for those PRs, but not as low rep. So in the future for this series, most likely I'll make a video on, rep ranges. What rep ranges to hit during your workout, during what movements, because it's actually quite an important point to elaborate upon. For example, you wouldn't be doing the same rep ranges for incline bench as you would for lateral raises, right? Very different movements. One's a compound, one's isolation, one has, the joint, the elbow joint as an actual limiting factor. You're not training your bones, not directly, you're training your muscles. So little caveats like that on what rep ranges to do with what movements and in what order during your workout is really important. Sort of just to foreshadow that video, I will say that, the first half of every workout is that heavy training. It's that going for that PR, lifting heavy, that reverse pyramid training, starting with that heavy top set, then laddering down. But the second half of every workout is a little more hypertrophy focused. So, you know, that 6 to 12 rep range, maybe doing pyramid style instead of reverse pyramid. At the very, very end, doing rest pause movements, you know, for isolation. So it's having that intensity versus time gradient every time you go into the gym, where it starts off with heavy compounds, and then as the workout progresses, as your session progresses, it tapers into more isolation movements, and even a rep range gradient where you start off in the 4 to 6, 5 to 7, 6 to 8 rep range, and then it starts turning into the whole 6 to 15, even 12 to 15 and beyond rep range when you get into things like pyramid, when you get into things like rest pause, and so on. So that's all. I've said a lot in this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you got any value, please hit the subscribe button, because this is just episode 3 of 18 episodes that are dropping in the 6-week Adonis Physique. If you need help with online coaching, if you need help with setting up your plan of attack when it comes to your workouts, how many sets, how many reps, what movements, how many times a week, how do you set that entire thing up relative to your current body and your goals, then hit the link in the description. Apply for the one-on-one coaching. I've been getting some amazing results with my current clients. Really excited to see what we're gonna do in the next couple weeks. But if you want to get in on the next round before spots fill up, go ahead and hit the link in the description. Apply and I'll get back to you, or just DM me on Instagram and I'll get back to you there as well. So that's all I want to say. Getting sort of tired of holding this camera. I'm just going for a nice little long walk here at night, and yeah, that's all I want to say. Much love, stay blessed, become a motherfucking modern day warrior, baby. We'll talk soon. Peace.